The following is a presentation of TFNN. Live at TFNN, the Power Trading Hour, with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And welcome all to another excellent day of the Power Trading Hour, where we take a look at the markets and give my commentary from the koala bear of Wall Street. The nice, I had one as a kid. I think my dad must have brought one back from Australia. Maybe that's why I'm so into the koala bear thing. But, what's that, Deacon Blues? I want a name when I lose. I want to be called the koala bear. Nice, fluffy, cuddly, non-threatening, eucalyptus-eating koala bear. Anyway, as we look at the markets and try to see just if we've got anything going on out here in the markets, we are off about half a point on the S&P cash, 2 billion shares on the consolidated New York Stock Exchange tape, and not a whole lot else going on. Seeing a lot of people pushing stocks around, which I find very interesting, through very, very low volume moves, and we'll be pointing at a couple of these stocks during the show, but nothing happening. This is the second day of options rollover. Just about the time that this show starts is the end of options rollover. It takes them about a day and a half, sometimes a little bit after lunch, to basically get all the old positions put off, new positions put on. They tend to push the market around a little bit to get that done. And what we do see is everybody kind of staring at everybody now. I think it is over by looking at the volume, because it really tailed off in the last 30 minutes, at least on the equities. But seeing a market out here that just doesn't seem to want to give a good indication one way or another about what is going on here. And we will talk a little bit more about that. First, the snooze. Today in history, in 1968, an emergency move. The New York Stock Exchange closed 90 minutes early. Do you remember it used to be open until 4:30? It used to open at 10 to 4:30. Can you believe it? Talk about banker's hours. Anyway, closed a 90 minute, I guess actually at 3:30. Closed actually early at 2 p.m. The early close, reports Wall Street Journal, is meant to help inundated trading desks catch up on a deluge of paperwork that has been resulted from a recent sustained period of unusually heavy trading. The day's total volume, 10.6 million shares. And it's kind of hard to think that what trades now in about 2 minutes blew away the ability of everybody to actually handle. Hang on one second. I have a big disagreement going on between a miniature German Schnauzer and a little Chihuahua. Hang on just one second. And Daddy is not so pleased. Anyway, normally they're in the bedroom. I don't know why I forgot to put them back in there today. But as we look at that, think about the kind of volume with doing 2 billion shares, and 10.6 million shares made such a problem. Computers really started to come online in the market about 1973 to 75, and made it a lot easier to trade and a lot harder to screw customers over, and left a paper trail that wasn't easy to fudge. So there were both good things and bad things, at least the way the street looked at it. For a while it was easier to catch what they did, and then they figured out how to program around that. One of the interesting stories I saw overnight was another article by a gentleman that is fairly bearish. He basically said sell everything you have, buy M16s and bullets. I think that was about 2 weeks ago. But he is going through some gyrations, but comes up with some fairly decent numbers on what truly unemployment is. If we actually lined everybody up and asked them whether they had a job or not, basically the real unemployment rate is 37.2%. That means we have about, 62.8% of the people actually in the boat rowing. The other people are being pulled behind them water skiing. And probably a good indication that what a lot of people see as problems long-term in the, at least U.S. markets, and that is a country where more and more people do less and less. And, of course, the people that do less get more. And kind of tough to think about it. But when you really think about it, 37.2% of people do not show up to a job tomorrow morning. IBM had earnings last night. They backed off their 2015 earnings. They were down about $3 when this liner came out. It went down to, I think, as low as about $180. It's been printing around 180, 182. Let's get a current quote on it. Yeah, 180, 182, which looks pretty much, looks like it wants to go down and test 176 and then possibly 156, the next level down. Of course, they've been trying to get around the whole thing where they get out of the businesses that they have been and move on to ones with higher margins. Namely, they're going whole hog after the Watson product. And I think it's going to have a good amount of business. The question is it going to have enough to supplant what they were doing before? And now that it's just kicking out the door, IBM continues to be the number one patenter of products in the world. And the question is whether or not they're going to be able to actually monetize any of and all of that original work. Some of it has been. They continue to fire people. They continue to buy back shares to continue to make their money. But you can't hide revenues, and those numbers have been down now pretty much for 3 straight years. And they just continue to keep the stock propped up as most of the share owners that know what they're doing continue to distribute at these higher levels. And one day this thing is going to fall flat as a pancake if that Watson money doesn't come flooding in rather soon. I've seen at least the pundits on CNBC and Bloomberg give IBM a pass forever. Last night and this morning looks like they're not willing to give them a pass any longer. Kind of the same thing that goes along for Amazon. The question is just how long will they allow Amazon to not make money? And then when it does make money and the PE looks horrible, how long will they hold the stock up until it comes back to some aggregate value that makes sense? In IBM's case, you could make a good case that if you followed the trajectory of what they were doing, that it is going to go back to somewhere in the mid $120 range over the next couple of years. So would not be surprised, especially trying to spin off several parts of their business. Their servers business is now being discussed about being sold to Dell now that it's private. But unknown at this time. We'll look at a chart in just a little bit. What else did we have out here? If I can find my mouse. Microsoft is expected to release Windows 9 in April 2015. Of course, this April, they're going to drop all support for Windows XP. Interestingly enough, 450,000 ATMs around the world use Windows XP. It will leave every single one of those in a problem of finding ways to hack them. And it's going to be very interesting to see whether or not these banks get off their rear ends and fix anything or try to force IBM into maintaining an operating system that's been out since 1999. My guess is that this is the true end, and Microsoft's going to go to releasing products about once a year. This Windows 9, we're already seeing Windows 8.1 versions that are probably going to come out in the next couple of months as upgrades. But instead of having one big upgrade every once in a while, like XP and Vista, looks like they're going to go more into what a project that they have called Blue, which is constant and never-ending improvement. Basically, they're always going to be upgrading it every few months. It will be little bites instead of big bites. And they've got a fairly decent plan. I spent most of the weekend working on what they call Metro apps, or in their parlance, since they're getting sued for the Metro name, Window Store apps is what they're calling it now. I don't know if they'll get an actual name for them soon. Actually made my first one. It's running on one of my several PCs here in the office with the Tiger, what I call the Tiger clock up there. This lets me know how many minutes to the break and when I come back from break. So if I wander off with the cold medicine I'm taking, I can get back to it. But just know that we've got a couple big hurdles coming. And if you are running Windows XP, April about 14th is your drop dead date. You won't even be able to reinstall it either. There's not going to be a server to authorize installations after that mid-April date also. So it will be interesting. Had a few questions. Let me go ahead and bring up a chart in the meantime. Had a few questions going on in the den. Well, let's get IBM up here. So at least we have something interesting to look at in the meantime. But what do I got? About a minute and a half. Had two questions. A question about Bitcoin. And it is becoming mainstream quickly. I don't think so. There isn't enough Bitcoins to go around, no matter what they price them at. I think that there's a lot of noise about Bitcoin. There's several people looking at coming up with competitors to it. As soon as it becomes a viable, or it looks like it's going to become viable, countries around the world cut it down. We've already seen China and India basically get rid of it. We're probably going to see the United States, I would say before summertime, make it illegal, declare it a currency, and it will have to go back and apply and do all the same things that every other bank in the United States has to do via the Patriot Act, and that will break it into little tiny pieces, and we'll remember fondly of Bitcoin days before. But now it's government can't let anything like that lay around anywhere, and it will not. What do we have? About 30 seconds left. We've got one more question when we come back. Wanted to show this chart of IBM before we left, and this thing kind of came right back up to confluence levels. And why it was kind of wide, got just a little bit over it. 189.12 was the prediction. Got up to 190.81. A little mushy out there. We'll be back in a minute.
With over 3 decades of trading experience, Andy Hecht brings a tremendous amount of knowledge and expertise to each weekly issue of his newsletter, the Technomental Commodity Report. The Technomental Commodity Report gives you Andy's unique technomental analysis of the commodities market, a combination of technicals and fundamental analysis which he has developed and perfected over his many years of trading. The Technomental Commodity Report is only $49 a month, and right now you can get a full month-long trial subscription while paying absolutely nothing. See for yourself the kind of weekly report Andy delivers to his subscribers every Thursday morning. You'll receive specific stock, ETF, and option trades based on Andy's analysis, so no futures account is required. For all the details and to start your month-long free trial to the Technomental Commodity Report, visit TFNN.com today.
with the launch of Tiger TV. TFNN has brought our programming to the next level. With Tiger TV, you can gain access to each host's charts and computer screens as they host their daily stock program. Whether it's Tom O'Brien, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, David White, Larry Pesavento, Andy Hecht, Victor Jones, or Terrell Martin, you can catch all of our technicians hosting their programs live and archived on Tiger TV for your viewing pleasure 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If you haven't checked out Tiger TV, then visit TFNN.com and see what you're missing.
You take a hands-on approach to managing your investment strategy. You're always looking for the next trading opportunity to magnify your perspective. Direction Shares connects sophisticated traders with a powerful array of ETFs from a wide range of asset classes. The markets may go up and down, and you want tools for both sides of the trade. Discover how we can help at DirectionShares.com today. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risks, charges, and expenses of the Direction Shares carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Shares. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact Direction Shares at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. An investment in the funds is subject to risk, including the possible loss of principal. The funds are designed to be utilized only by sophisticated investors such as traders and active investors employing dynamic strategies. Investors in the fund should understand the consequences of seeking daily investment results, understand the risk of shorting, and intend to actively monitor and manage their investments. Distributor, Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Wouldn't it be great if you could get a red light, green light indicator that gives you signals on 25 different futures contracts? Now you can with Taz Signal Box. This red light, green light market profile system dynamically updates 24 hours a day and provides you with important trend and trade signals on 9 different commodities, 9 different indices, and 8 different currencies. Right now, you can receive a 2-week free trial to Taz Signal Box. For all the details and to find out how the Signal Box works, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
And as we come back, I was looking just quickly at the IBM chart. Just wanted to show you how Confluence works out here. The wider it is, the more it acts as congestion. Sometimes it'll go. It's not uncommon to see these Confluence levels broken slightly. I would have liked to seen this. This is about $3 wide on a $190 stock, so what, 1.5%? That's kind of the wide edge of what you would like to see Confluence at. I'd like to see it under 1%, but it does tend to work also fairly well. IBM did have 2 tests of the low down at 172.57. I suspect that's where we're headed fairly quickly, and then there's probably one at 158. But now that they've gotten off those 2015 revenue numbers and earnings numbers, I suspect that we'll probably see rather rapid selling yet again. This is not the first time this thing has gapped down on heavy volume. We've seen the first sign of this thing gapping down off of heavy volume on earnings on the 19th of April last year. But good one to set up and look and see how Confluence levels do set up when you do get pullbacks in the marketplace, and or alternate moves in a market like you saw in IBM there, even though it did test its lows on lighter volume. Had another question in the den, and that is with net neutrality, becoming relegated to the dustbin? Will TFNN as a business be forced to pay more to transmit data? And the answer is probably not. Why net neutrality has been thrown out by the FCC by edict, it does not mean that Congress will not act. This is one of the few things that I know that both Republicans, Democrats, and the president all agree on, and that for the majority of them. And unless someone paid off the right senator to get it blocked, which I don't think is even possible right now in the Senate, if this doesn't get appealed to the Supreme Court and stand up, I think we're going to see at least some level of the politicians getting involved. But Verizon and all the others ask that we just trust them, that they won't use net neutrality rules for anything bad. And the answer is yes, they will. This is no different than the president telling us that everything will be all right if we just trust him with the NSA and trot out the NSA guy to lie to us and in front of Congress. We know you're going to be evil. We know you can't help yourself. And you are among the most evil and hated companies in America. It's not like anybody's going to hate you that much more. So probably not able to leave that alone. But I think that there is, from everything I've read, a widespread groundswell of opinion in Congress, in both the House and the Senate and the presidency to pass something in the way of the net neutrality. My guess is that this is not over in the courts, but even then, the FCC could come back and try yet another way around the way that they did it the first time. So I think this is far from what's over on what can happen. We've got The Godfather out in the afternoon. Oh, it was right after lunch on CNBC. Carl Icahn. He's been pushing a variety of stocks, so we're going to get into that. One of them is Apple today, saying he's bought another $500 million worth of Apple. Apple's another great one that's got a confluence range right around $500, which is where I think if this market starts pulling back, this is going. Every day, though, that we see this market not really pull back significantly is somewhat problematic. The longer that it hangs out at these highs, the more likely that we get a breakout to the highs. But I just don't see it in the volume or in the movement. And we've got some very, very light volume in a lot of these stocks pushing higher today. But even then, we'll take a look. Let's see. Oh, what else did I want to get to? Oh, we got about 30 seconds. Oh, we did IBM, got Apple out of the way. I guess the discussion is what can Icahn impose on Apple? And the belief is that you have to own 51% of the company to actually control a company. The answer is a lot of times 5, even 8% in a company like Apple. And maybe as much as or as little as 2.5 or 3%. But especially with Carl Icahn, you can constantly make the CEO look over his shoulder as to what the value he's returning to the marketplace. And it's enough a lot of times to put the fear of God in the directors also. We'll be back in a minute.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock in option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
No matter where you listen to TFNN programming, we want you to know you can always access your favorite shows on demand through TFNN.com. TFNN airs live programming every market day from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. Eastern, and you can view each program by accessing Tiger TV through our homepage. We even have an easy link for all mobile devices, including iPhones and iPads, located at the top right-hand corner of the TFNN homepage. You can use your smartphone to view Tiger TV, but if you don't have a mobile connection that can keep up with streaming live video, then you can simply visit TFNN.mobi in the browser of your smartphone for live streaming audio of all of our programs. The mission of TFNN is to educate our audience directly and interactively through our interactive website and radio call and talk shows. TFNN is able to teach all levels of investors the technical skills needed to trade in today's marketplace. In order to get the best information possible, TFNN has assembled the most respected financial minds in the country to provide the most current news and comprehensive advice available. TFNN.com. Educating investors.
Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's Nadex.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors. Daryl Martin coined the phrase diagnostic trading, and we're happy to announce that his diagnostic box spread analyzer has finally been released. The Diagnostic Box Spread Analyzer helps you easily identify the best box spreads on Nadex in seconds, plus you receive access to the diagnostic deviation levels, as well as step-by-step training videos teaching you how to trade Nadex spreads so you can quickly master the mechanics of this simple yet powerful trading instrument. By pulling live data from the Nadex exchange, the Diagnostic Box Spread Analyzer does all the math for you, calculating risk, reward potential, distance to break even for both outright spreads and spreads used to hedge the underlying market. Visit the front page of TFNN.com today to get your 2-week free trial to Daryl Martin's Diagnostic Box Spread Analyzer and gain access to the valuable information it can provide when trading the Nadex box spreads.
This segment is brought to you by Harmony Gold. For more information, just click the Harmony Gold banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
And as we come back, one of the other stocks that Icon is operating these days is a company called Nuance Communications. You may know them from Siri, and at one time they had Dragon Natural Speaking. They kind of sold it off. There's a big lawsuit. I don't know if that ever got settled on that. Anyway, mostly they're in that kind of Siri camp now. And, of course, they got up real big on everybody thinking they were going to make a lot of money off of it. It was kind of a one-time licensing deal with Apple, and it never turned out to be a whole lot. Came back down to this $13 level. I suspect that's where the engineering started. That was that he asked the corporate beings to throw in everything, including the kitchen sink, about bad news, and probably was buying all the way through there. But I think it was just a day or two after that he filed that he started buying. Icon only has $3 billion invested in what? He's got $30 billion, so, or $35 billion. Oh, he only has $3 billion in Apple, which is only $3 billion. A billion here, a billion there. You're talking about soon talking about real money. But anyway, when we look at Nuance Communications, he's probably gotten just about everything that he could. I think he spoke about it today. This thing's back up above the previous level. But another good example of where you should be looking at Confluence. I suspect he'll get into selling this fairly decent. $13 to $17. Probably a fairly decent trade out here. 16.97 to 17.33 is where he's going to start seeing a lot of overhead resistance and other people coming back selling in, as shown by the Confluence area over on the right-hand side of the screen. But this is another one being operated by him, and of course he has a lot more money, and it's a much smaller company and easy to manipulate. We're going to go into some stocks of interest today. And Agilent Technology, we've been looking at these biotechs and pharmaceuticals and just about everything else, just taking off and running to no end. The two major price points out here for Agilent, other than this last high today, are at $40.19 on February 26th of 2013, almost a year ago, and the $49.39 of October 9th. That would set up pretty much a level in Confluence on this, back to $53.19 to $53.91, which is a fairly decent range, a little less than $1. That you put this back together with other things, i.e. The big gap up of 11 million shares on the 15th of November, and you see just how this thing came back down. This started to try to fill that gap and then came up. This level being exactly where that gap is and where it came back to would give you a pretty good indication that if we are lucky enough to see these things blow off their top, these things are probably going to be right around that 53, mid 53 level probably is where you want to look and see whether or not this thing comes back with light volume. Holden or Duffy Consults. Oh, that's interesting. But AGs, T's, AG, T's, and C's have been good to Agilent, big in the DNA business. Other stocks that are setting up here, Aruba Networks. This came out, is it earnings today or earnings? Earnings date was earnings February 20th. Okay, so we are over. Is that right? February 20th. Okay, that would be today. Would 20th would have been Monday. That can't be right. I wonder when earnings truly is in Aruba Networks. So what we have is the this thing gap down 2 times very hard down to $12.38 on May 17th. It's been working its way back up to fill this gap that it had on heavy volume. It still has not come back and tested that $12.38 low. So you do have a 55 million share low out here hanging around. But if you're looking at some of these that are just filling these gaps now, this is about the do or die time for these things. My guess is most of them do not have enough volume. If you are interested in those kind of stocks, Blue Cora, I'm trying to remember what these guys do. Tax preparation in the United States and search and tax preparation. You would think that this company would probably be kind of in the sweet spot starting maybe in the next couple of weeks. It certainly broke out with decent volume on the 6th of November with 3.7 million shares. And when we see that, it's come back down and the volume has been incredibly light. And we do have a confluence level back to 25.43, so maybe we've got about $1 to the downside. But if you wanted to be looking at one going long in case this market starts to act like it's going to break out, this looks like not a bad trade out here at about 25.50 to 25.75 if we could get back just a little farther, but that is one I'm watching. Last week or the week before, I can't remember, I think it was the week before, had a question about shorting Intuitive Surgical. And I said, well, you really wanted this thing to come kind of back up and fill at least part of all that gap. I was saying somewhere between 460 and 480, I think. that 470, getting back up into some of these gaps and filling them. One of the things I didn't like about Intuitive Surgical as a short was that it had a high volume low that was broken on a very light volume, 4.6 million shares was a first major move down at 357.02 on July 19th of last year. We got into it and broke it by $6 on December 17th with 750,000 shares. So what, 20%? A very, very light volume. This thing has been moving back up into this gap. But normally what you want to do is start looking at your Fibonacci retracements levels and potentially confluence levels. But I have a feeling that you'd probably want to be looking, we're right at the, right at the, 618 of the major move at 453. Now, could you get back up even to 478? But you're right in any of those ranges is probably where you'd want to set the hook. I don't see the high volume untested low, though, that would make me pull the trigger on it. What else we have going on here? Quality company. Okay. Grand Canyon Education Company, LOPE. This one tested its previous high, closed back in the level yesterday on much lighter volume. We have even lighter a volume out here today. Some of these very interesting, these companies, for-profit education companies, are coming back and back up. But certainly they don't have near the cash that they had back in their heyday. Kind of surprising to see these things back up and being pushed once again. Another one up here at the highs you want to be watching today is O'Reilly. This thing is testing its previous high. Today it's got 710,000 shares, testing the October 17th high that had 1 million shares at 135.62. So we've got Jim in Denver. How you doing today, Jim?
Hey, Dave. How about you?
Good.
Good. Hey, I heard you talking last week about your newsletters.
Yep.
And, how should I say? I'm not real good at it hanging by the computer all day long. I got to work on that. So the Technology Insider was kind of interesting. You mentioned something like you want to trade like a Friday to Friday or something like that.
They certainly are longer term trades. They're not designed to be 1 day or 2 day turnarounds.
Okay.
But unfortunately, this market makes that a little tough. But even my last one, I think, was a 2-week trade. But go ahead.
So but you send out a letter once a week, I guess.
We send out a newsletter every Friday.
Okay.
And normally that's late in the day Friday, but sometimes earlier. And normally I try to put on positions on Friday and take them off on Friday if possible. Sometimes things happen, but we send out alerts if we're going to change anything.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know too. So okay, all right. And then it used to be this was like a year subscription, right?
Yes.
But it's not anymore. It's like a monthly now.
It always was, but you get a deal if you do the year.
I see. Okay. All right. Okay. Well, that's good. I hate to be tied up for a year if it's not working. So.
Well, you can always do the 2-week trial.
Right. Okay.
So we can do that, and we pretty much handle all everybody. But no, that's pretty much it. Every Friday, I start writing the newsletter normally for the background. That letter is a little different in that I put together both the fundamental and the technical parts of charting to try to put together trades that are lasting longer. And a lot of it is involved in what I'm looking at that may even be years down the road, but you ought to be aware of.
Okay.
And probably the best guy that ever talked about it was Steve Jobs. He said in his commencement address to Stanford in, I think, 2005, a great one to watch, by the way, if you want to Google it on YouTube. Runs about in 15 or 18 minutes. But he gets into the whole part that he basically dropped out of school, didn't want his parents paying a bunch of tuition money. And one of the things he did was live on the floors in other people's dorm rooms. And when he was doing that, he was able to take any course he wanted to sit in, didn't get credit, of course. But he'd go around and sit in. And so he sat in one for calligraphy and learning how to make wonderful fonts. Fell in love with the course. Of course, no one makes any money at the deal. But 10 years later, he wouldn't have known unless he took that calligraphy course that he needed to have proportional and independent fonts for the Macintosh. And without that, probably wouldn't have had Aldous PageMaker wander into his business about late 86 and save all of Apple with PageMaker and all the other desktop publishing tools. But he put it in there. There wasn't anybody really writing anything for it, and he wouldn't have known it unless he took it. And he calls that looking and connecting the dots backwards. He says you can't really connect the dots forward. You have to experience stuff. You have to be looking at it, and then the opportunity will come. And because of your experience, you'll be able to connect the dots backwards. So I write kind of two partitions in that newsletter. One is what I'm doing about trading, and the other one are items and news of technical and my opinion about what's happening to those particular companies. Like I'm not too hot on GameStop. I kind of wrote some articles that said I think it is the next Barnes & Noble, and Amazon Kindle is coming to do Pac-Man on it. That kind of stuff. Right. And some other articles, and I've added some new positions on stuff. But a lot of times I'll write about a sector that I hate or I think is doing poorly or will be doing poorly, but the technical setup for that can be 3-6 months down the line, and that's when you connect the dots backwards.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
So you usually have like a trade though every week, or I say I can try this thing, but
no, I mean I went for like 6 weeks without any trade before I did the one on MCP. Okay. Sometimes there's just no money to be made.
Right.
And I was looking at going into all the issues with the Fed in December, and there was one trade I really liked, and the market did little or nothing, and we made, 38% on that MCP trade right before Christmas when we saw that set up. But that's where you go back and you have to put the fundamentals with the technical part. But this thing came down, retested the low. Let me come back out here. Retested this low right back here in the, on 11/27. Tested that low on 451 on December 16th. And I put together the problems with China and them cutting down the amount of rare earth minerals that they were exporting. So it's one of those things where you had to kind of know what you were into, and you had to understand rare earth minerals, and then you had to understand how China was putting that all back together. But we caught most of that trade, and I think I sold it, bought it at $4.55 and sold it for, $6.20 or something. Okay. But that's pretty much where we're where a lot of those trades, that one's a shorter term one. But I'm really looking for these long-term trades to set up, and right now actually have a few short positions on.
Okay, so you do short too. Okay, all right. Let me ask you one other question. It was about what you mentioned earlier in the show. Like 38% of the people in the country are not working.
Yeah.
Do you know if that includes people that are on Social Security?
Yep.
Or is it just
does? That's just like I said. There's 37% of the people that don't walk out their door and go to work every day.
Okay.
For whatever reason.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
You bet.
Patterns, profits, and peace of mind.
Are you looking for a precision edge in the market? Something that can stack the odds in your favor? Then look into Larry Pezzavento's trading newsletter.
Patterns, profits, and peace of mind.
In each weekly issue, Larry explains what's going to happen in the markets based on the pattern he sees developing and gives you actionable trade ideas based on those patterns. Plus, you'll get his detailed analysis on a variety of markets and sectors, including stocks, treasury bonds, the gold market, oil, the dollar, the Forex market, and more. You'll get access to all the patterns Larry is seeing in the markets, plus the Astro Harmonics and powerful Bradley stock market model that Larry utilizes for less than $5 a day. An extremely potent combination that will give you the edge you've been looking for. Try patterns, profits, and peace of mind absolutely free for 2 full weeks. That's an $85 value. Yours free when you register right now.
Get Larry's patterns, profits, and peace of mind.
And get the edge you've been looking for.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
We're told to follow our passion and everything else will fall into place. I hope that's what each of you are doing each and every day. Hi, I'm Steve Rhodes, host of the Money Master Show at TFNN.com, and my passion for technical analysis is what led me to the most fundamental discovery in pattern recognition, the Rhodes Momentum Indicator, market scanner, and trading strategy. A set of tools that identify the momentum and power of the trend, the likes of which have never been seen before, for every market and every time frame. Yes, folks, the trend is your friend, unless you're on the other side. New to technical analysis? This is the place to start. And experienced traders take advantage of the trend like never before. Experience the power of the Rhodes Momentum Indicator each day, available to subscribers of my newsletter service, Mastering Probability. I guarantee your satisfaction for the next 30 days unconditionally, so there's no risk to you other than being on the wrong side of the trend. Mastering Probability, available on the homepage of TFNN.com. And folks, live with passion.
This segment is brought to you by TFNN. Test drive all the newsletters for free at TFNN.com.
Yeah. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Yeah.
What is it good for? I say give it a chance. Anyway, we're looking at some of these stocks moving out here. We were talking about ORLY, and interesting to see the movements in some of these stocks out here. And we'll get looking at a few of them. I did want to talk about, up in the air. And in fact, I wanted to bring that up. It has nothing to do with trading. But if you watch, we were talking to somebody in the den asked me if I wanted to travel somewhere, and I said, no, I've got about 2.5 million miles, about 2 million of those on Delta. And I just, for the life of me, there's no place I haven't been. I've been in 35 countries. I've been everywhere, and all I want to do is stay at home now. In fact, it's hard to get me to leave the house. But what we do have is that movie Up in the Air with George Clooney. But there's a girl in that movie, not his love interest, the other girl in that movie, and she is been in a few movies now. I think her name's Kendra. Anyway, if you want to see a absolutely great movie, I mean, absolutely get bowled over by how good someone can act and how well someone can speak. She is in a movie called Rocket Science. And it's a movie about a young boy who basically has stuttering problems, decides to get into the debate squad because he's after this girl. And really finds out that she's not all that. But it's a very, very cute movie. It's called Rocket Science. I think it was out about 6 or 7 years ago. But that's how she ended up in that movie. But it would be good. Come on, Miles with Polar would be able to words. Come on. Anyway, yeah, $2.5 million on Delta. And I got treated like crap all the time. Steve Rhodes is in the den asking me. I said, yes, because I was in Cincinnati, and guess what? Every single gate in Cincinnati was owned by Delta. And when another small startup opened up in Cincinnati, Delta changed all its takeoff times to the exact same time as that small startup. And when that didn't work, they bought the company so they could, again, own every single gate at Delta. And of course, being in Cincinnati, flying in and out of there, you had to be part of, Procter & Gamble. And they had probably, 2,000 people that would travel literally every single day. These guys had 5, 7, 8 million miles, just like the guy in Up in the Air, George Clooney. And they coveted every single one. There were no upgrades to first class with 2.5 million miles. I could get tickets just about anywhere. And the only way I ever sat in first class is if the plane was totally empty. Even then, they would make it problematic for me to use any of those miles or any of the blackout dates or anything. And, of course, if you go back and look from, I think, 1985 to 2005, haven't looked after that, the most expensive airport to fly out of in the United States, Cincinnati, Ohio. They had a virtual monopoly, and they weren't very nice. In fact, I once saw them kill a dog on the runway that got loose. And anyway, they're not my favorite people, but what can you say? We've got about 30 seconds going on looking at these markets. 2.4 billion shares on the consolidated tape, 1 point higher on the S&P. Just can't make a lot out of this right now. Anyway, we'll see you tomorrow. Same bat channel, same bat time. Remember to sell when you can, not when you have to.
Since 1984, Basil Chapman has been using the Chapman Wave methodology to advise traders of his expert market opinion. While originally hand-drawing charts from the late 1970s into the 1980s, Basil noticed that prices under most circumstances virtually always had a certain number of legs to the upside before declining sharply. Later, Basil found that computer software, which included the standard market technical indicators, enhanced the degree of accuracy in calling price turns, as well as market trend calls. Thus was born the Chapman Wave sequence. Using the Chapman Wave methodology along with other indicators, Basil Chapman advises his subscribers of his expert market opinion each market day with his opening call newsletter. Right now, you can get a 2-week free trial to the opening call, Basil's daily trading newsletter, by visiting the front page of TFNN.com. Cancel at any time during that trial and pay absolutely nothing. Get your 2-week free trial to Basil's newsletter, The Opening Call, today by visiting TFNN.com.